And welcome to our 2017 kickoff to Arch Madness in what has become a great tradition, and that is our Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year Luncheon, which we also use to celebrate our award-winning student athletes and specialty award winners in men's basketball. I will have to tell you, it's the first time that we've shared this, though, with the pesticide convention. And so you can say hi to those folks. Doug and Jack had me set up a PayPal account, and I'd like to tell you they've already bought 100 all-session tickets across the way from our pesticide folks. Anyway, it's good to share them. It's great to have all of you here. You know, a year ago at this time, when we had this event, we had brought up here to the front some of the greatest student athletes in the history of this league. This is 110 years old. And we thought, well, what are you going to do for an encore when you say goodbye to people like Agidius Miscavicius and Fred Van Vliet and Ron Baker? The encore, you will see over the next 90 minutes, has been quite outstanding. Because this year we had two teams that were in the top 5 in the nation in field goal percentage defense. That is a metric that has led to 6 teams to the Final Four and 3 national champions. We had wins over, multiple wins over the Big East, the SEC, the Big 12, the Pac-12, Indiana State beat number 15 Butler. We had teams that were outstanding representing the league. We had 5 great wins in the Mountain West Challenge. It was a good year for the league, and we planted the seeds for more greatness when you see the good young players in this league as well as our seniors, will be rewarded and awarded today. So, since it's the first day of the tournament, time is at a premium. We want to keep things rolling, but before we do that, we're very proud of this league. We think it's a prototype league for the rest of college athletics, and I call it America's Renaissance League, and I say that on purpose. Because this is a league, all 6 of these coaches that are up here, nothing has come easy for them. And for the administrators in the room, nothing comes easy on our campuses, but that's the way we like it in the Valley. Because this Valley journey is not like any other, but it is rewarding, and there are some outstanding people and outstanding moments. So take a trip with us, if you will, for the next couple of minutes as we go down the Valley Road.
Warning: some portions of this film may evoke feelings of joy when your school's performance is being highlighted. Unfortunately, similar feelings may become apparent when your opponent is being depicted, but hopefully not as often. If the latter condition persists, please consult with loved ones, merchandise stands, mascots, or even the person sitting next to you to reduce symptoms. Thank you from the Missouri Valley. Please enjoy the games.
All Valley roads converge in St. Louis, and with blessings along the way, we are here to experience Arch Madness 2017.
Luncheon, corner to Shepard. Book it! Duffy down low to Barnes. Smith drives right, goes all the way to the rim, and dunk! One-handed slam by Deshaun Smith. And
Wow, that got all the soccer fans off their feet, let me tell you.
just soared up there and threw it down. Driving Shannon with a two-handed hits another three. Two in a row by Connor Frankamp. Shockers play at least a share of their fourth consecutive Missouri Valley Conference title.
Cross-court pass stolen by Mikhail. McIntosh the other way, and there's a dunk. Back out to Lee. Here's the three. That's good off the glass. Pulls it off to Evans, who shoots and scores with 2 seconds to go.
Taken away by McDuffie.
To make it to the tournament.
It begins here.
Special thanks to Mason Glick, Digital Derek Dockett, and Jack R. Watkins for putting the Valley Road together. You know, I mentioned, if you saw the graphic, the Cradle of Coaches, of the top 25 teams, I pointed just a week ago, the top 25 teams that you saw on your crawl, on your Fox Sports Midwest graphic, 7 of the top 25 teams were coached either by a current coach in this league or 6 other coaches who sat at this table at this event. And that's the impact that the Missouri Valley Conference has had, and will have in college basketball. We want you to enjoy your lunch, but the 6 coaches up here and the student athletes that we're going to honor today are on a tight schedule since they play tomorrow in the quarterfinals, and we want to keep everybody on schedule. But while we do that, we're going to transition over here to my right and meet the coaches that are here and talk about the matchups tomorrow as we begin the quarterfinals in Arch Madness after our first round games tonight. So enjoy your meal, but I want to introduce, as I transition over here, we've got an outstanding 4-5 matchup tomorrow. Now, what's interesting, in 26 years, previous years of this tournament, only 13 times have there been a rematch of the last regular season game that carries over to the first round of this tournament. This year, there's only 5 chances now with 10 teams and 5 games for opening games. 3 of the 5 will be rematches from the regular season finale on Saturday. First time that's happened in Missouri Valley Conference history. And our 4-5 game is exactly that, a rematch of what happened Saturday in Carbondale. Please welcome, representing the 4 seed, a man who was destined to coach in this league at his second school of coaching in America's Renaissance Conference from the Southern Illinois Salukis, Barry Hinson. And the 5 seed, also a man who has coached at 2 different places in this league. He was a champion in this league as a player and perfect for Loyola University. Porter Mosier, our 5 seed. The first thing I have to ask you guys is, who had the scout for Saturday's game? Who had your scout?
Anthony Bain.
Who had your scout?
I can't admit it because we didn't do a good job against Sean O'Brien. I don't want to throw out my assistant.
I was going to ask, because do you keep him on this scout too?
Yeah, he's done a pretty good job so far.
Because it's fresh, man. It's like 5 days or whatever. But I want to ask you guys, in your season, Barry, the best finish for Southern Illinois, what, in about a 9-year period for you guys, the way and the big games you won and the result you showed, particularly in the last 6 to 7 weeks?
Well, it has a lot to do with
like Porter just pointed out, Sean O'Brien, and specifically our 3 seniors. And I couldn't be any prouder of them. I think down the stretch, they're really starting to get it. And we've got a guy in the middle of the lane right now that's really helped us. And Teak Bowl has helped us a tremendous amount.
Yeah, it's fun to watch and to see him grow. Porter, you've changed your campus. You won the CIT championship a couple of years ago. And I want to ask you about Milton Doyle, talking about Sean. What about Milton Doyle and what you've meant, your program to your campus, in putting and elevating Loyola basketball?
You know, Milton's had a huge impact on our program. He's definitely left his footprint. And he was the first, there was a gap of 10 years that a Chicago student athlete stayed home at Loyola. And he was the first one when we got the job. And what he's done on and off the floor, watching his leadership, he's our only senior, and he's just every facet of our program. Now for the young kids around Chicago, they looked at Milton. Milton's has his degree. He's graduated this Christmas, and he's first team All-League, and he's just had a huge impact on us, and it's a great story, the Milton Doyle story.
I want to ask both you guys, because there's a bigger picture here. He could have left. This whole graduate transfer thing, there's almost 1,000 transfers now in college basketball. Sean gutted it out, fought through. So did Milton. What does that mean for your programs as you move forward?
Well, I think the biggest thing was Sean O'Brien. Sean came to Carbondale when nobody else wanted to. And we sold Sean about a dream and coming in here and doing some things special. And Sean hasn't done it by himself, but in his 4 years, we finally got this league back, or this team back in the top half of the league. And Sean O'Brien's had as much impact, along with Anthony Bean Jr., than anybody that we've had in our program.
And for you guys?
You know, I think coaches in the Valley and other conferences, Milton's a great example. There's so much talk about how fifth-year transfers want to transfer up, transfer different things, and they go there and they average 2 points a game. Milton stayed loyal. Milton stayed in his hometown. Milton's first team had a great year, and now he's going to have an opportunity to play again somewhere else because what he did in state, his loyalty to stay. And I think it's a great story to sell for coaches. Hey, stay, show your loyalty, and have a great year where you're at because you know the system, you know the culture, and I think that's something we need to sell.
Porter, you're one of the best shooting teams in the country, top 10 in the country in field goal shooting percentage. What about your offensive prowess, what Andre has done, and your ability to make shots?
You know, Andre's got this knack to put the ball in the hole. He's 68% for the year. And but I tell you, part of any time you shoot well, you got to be unselfish. And Milt's one of his best attributes is his vision. Guys like Clayton Custer, Ben Richardson, they share the ball. They're willing passers. And that as a coach, any coach will tell you, when you got guys that can pass and are willing to pass, that's a big step to pass up a decent shot for a better shot. But Andre, losing Montel James last year, we were really concerned about inside. And he gives us an inside presence, and I thought for his first year out of junior college, he had a really nice year.
Mike Rodriguez for you, point guards, hard to find, good ones. What does Mike mean to you and your success potentially in this tournament?
Well, I think it's important in any program that you always have a player that's shorter than the head coach. That's one of our priorities. Find me somebody that's shorter than me. But
you weren't that hard to guard, though, Marlo.
No, I wasn't. There was a reason I was always open. But Mike has been really, in the last 2 years, Mike has been that guy that has been the glue. And he's been the young man that, as Porter just said, good players are the ones that are unselfish. And you've seen the stats. 37% of our offense comes through Mike Rodriguez, and that's a huge stat. And what a great unselfish stat that is for him to have.
You guys both love this league. You played in this league. You won championships in this league. And a lot of times at this banquet, sometimes it's your first exposure to this league. And I love this league, been involved with it now for almost a generation. What's this league mean to you, playing in this tournament mean to you, and success in this league?
I mean, I absolutely love the league, having played in it and coached two different places. But I think it's the passion of the different schools, the passion of the fan bases, the passions of the cities where those schools are in. I was thinking about that when you showed the cities. But it's a basketball league. I love that basketball is so much in the forefront, and the people involved. I just think this is the greatest league, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Absolutely. You and I had chats when you were at Kansas with Bill Self, and we talked about the Valley. It wasn't about what was going on there in Lawrence and your love for the league and your chance to come back to the league and be a part of it, what it's meant to your life.
Well, I think did you just see 110 years? The second oldest conference in college basketball, second only to the Big Ten. And you want to know what makes this league special is these guys sitting right up here, because after every game, regardless of when you play, who you play, every one of these guys will go get a cup of coffee with you after or before the game, and that's what makes it. And these people right here, These people right here in the communities that we play, Porter's right. I mean, you go up to Chicago and you get to be blessed by Sister before the game even starts. What an honor that is. You go to
You have
Wichita.
no idea how much of an honor that is.
You go to Wichita, it's sold out. You go to Northern Iowa, you go to Peoria, you go to Bradley, you're playing on ice. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You go to Missouri State where you got your ass fired, everybody's fired up. I mean, it's just a heck of a league. And you go in there night in and night out, and it's just the people make this conference, and they always have. And it is the best mid-major conference out there, bar none.
Absolutely. Think you're fired up for the 4-5 game? Here we go. Porter Mosier at 5 seed and Loyola in the 4 seed. Missouri State, Barry Hinson. Well, our 3 seed is looking for a three-peat. They have been the Arch Madness champions the last 2 years, and they have been outstanding representatives in this league in postseason play in the NCAA tournament with 4 wins in their run in the NCAA tournament. And last year, some of the best moments in March Madness came from our Arch Madness champion. Please welcome, from the 3rd seed, Northern Iowa Panthers, Ben Jacobson. And our 6th seed, another Valley legacy, part of championships as a player at Southern Illinois. And the 6th seed, Missouri State Bears, Paul Lusk. Okay, here we go, 3-6 battle. I'm going to ask you, first of all, Ben, about you got guys left that have had confetti fall on their head here, and just the thrill of coming to St. Louis where you've won the last 2 titles.
Yeah, that part of it obviously is important for our team, and maybe more so this year than the past 2 years, that we do have a couple of guys held over, because when we started the year this year, we had 11 first-year guys, and so those 4 or 5 older guys were extremely important, for us to be able to at least get going enough and get to the 3 seed. And anytime you've been, Jeremy Morgan has shot the ball well here. Bennett Cook has played well here. Clint was on the all-tournament team last year. When you've got those guys, you feel like you've got a chance.
Absolutely. And Paul, you guys, I thought Daquan's shot against Illinois State was in. It was right on the money. You've had a lot of tough, close games, but your guys continue to fight. I had you on your senior day. Just what your guys have done to show and resolve, and guys like Alizé and Daquan and the rest.
Well, pleased with my guys. It's a new season. We're playing a quality opponent, as you mentioned, as Jake mentioned. They've won it 2 years in a row, and those 3 guys that have been a part of that, Cook, Carlson, and Morgan, they have great experience. But we're excited for the matchup. At this time of the year, it's about who's playing good basketball, and it's going to be a great tournament.
Alizé's unique. We're going to talk about him here in a little bit, but you got a guy that gets 20 rebounds in 2 separate games with 20 points. What about the guy's motor and how he tracks it?
Well, I think first and foremost, we knew he would be a good player for us, and I've often said this, what makes him is he's coachable, and he's a very humble young man. He's not a guy that's getting both elbows above the rim for rebounds. He's a good athlete, but yet he has a very strong will, and he pursues the ball, and he's had an outstanding season for us, and he continues to get better, and he'll continue to get better.
Your guys, people know about the 0-5 start, but then you rattle off 9 out of 10 wins. What about your guys kind of rediscovering what makes Northern Iowa successful?
Yeah, and in the first 5 league games, we didn't really guard anybody. Teams were shooting 50, 55%. We didn't rebound it very well. So some of the things that our teams have done, and that we all know you have to get done if you're gonna have a chance. Fundamentally, for us defensively, we just weren't getting those things done, and we started to defend better. Got a little bit going with our offense, although we've gone most of the year where we haven't necessarily shot the ball great. So we really had to rely on our defense, and it put a lot of pressure on our defense to have to play well. And so fortunately, we were able to find some things at that end of the floor, and that allowed us to at least get going enough to get into games and have then have the opportunity. We won a couple close games, but I think the most important thing is for Jeremy and for Jordan and for Clint in particular. They stepped up, and their leadership was really what turned it around.
Let's ask you about Jeremy Morgan. In case you guys don't know, he has done, only since Shane Battier of Duke back in 99-2000, has Jeremy Morgan performed at the level all across the board of all statistics of any player in college basketball? Now, this is a unique kid. And what about coaching him and what he means?
Yeah, he really is. And probably the thing that we've been most impressed with Jeremy is, 2 years ago as a sophomore, he's on a really good team and just kind of, he takes his turn offensively. When it comes his way, he steps forward and he gets done what he needs to. Last year as a junior, terrific player, but the same. He had some older guys that were offensively going to do more in terms of taking shots and being more aggressive at that end of the floor, and he was very willing to play that role as well. And now, this year as a senior, and it was for him, I think, a tremendous challenge because we had so many first-year guys. He didn't have as many experienced guys around him as our guys did last year and our guys did 2 years ago. So not only did he have to change his role offensively and score for us and lead us at the offensive end, which he didn't have to do for 2 years, he had to do it with a group of guys around him that just didn't have a lot of experience. So for him to touch all those categories, for him to get our team going, get us to a 3 seed, he's just been awesome. And I think the guys have touched on it. And I think one of the greatest things for us as coaches is we get to be around these guys every day. The numbers go out there, and to say that he's the only one since Shane Battier is an awesome thing, and we can, people can see that. But we get to be around these guys every single day, and in a lot of cases 4 years and 5 years. And he is an unbelievable kid, and that's the most special part about it.
And that's awesome. Senior competitiveness, Paul, in the fact that, and then you got one of the best shot blockers in the league in Obadiah Church. We talked about Alizé. Daquan can explode. But your guys' competitiveness as a group and why that gives you a chance in this tournament.
Well, you have to compete first and foremost before you get to X's and O's or anything that's going on from a strategy standpoint. You have to compete at a high level, and I think we've been doing that. We've got to break through, and guys have to put the ball in the basket, but you have to compete at a high level. The word competing, think about Jeremy Morgan. I watch him, and I have such great respect for a player like that. He could struggle offensively, but he's still going to compete and impact winning, and that's what it's about at this time of the year.
These are coaches. You've won this as a player, and you've won this as a coach, but two guys that know what it means to win a championship in Arch Madness. Get up again for our 3rd seed, Northern Iowa. Ben Jacobs, and our 6th seed, Paul Lusk. You are witnessing history today in the fact that the 2 coaches I want to introduce to you now represent programs that combined this year went 17-1, or combined went 34-2. The only 2 losses were to each other on each other's home floor. It is the first time in 110 years of this league that co-champions enter this tournament with 17-1 records. And it was so close in determining the 1 and 2 seeds. I'm going to talk about Doug here in a second, but Doug's very unique and forward-thinking in determining a lot of things, including who's the 1 seed and the 2 seed. It was so close between these 2 teams, it really boiled down, and I was talking to Jack Watkins and Mike Kern after leaving the arenas of some of these places. It really depended on what some of their opponents had done. For example, Louisville, who was an opponent of Wichita State's, if they would have won a couple games, the RPI, which was the tiebreaker, was going to get microscopically close. So these 2 teams, both 17-1, coming in with the best combined records of any 2 teams. Only exception was 2015, when Wichita State and Northern Iowa had by 2 more wins than these 2 teams. These are 2 special groups. So, to be fair, and quite honestly, there's a challenge to be right down the middle when you do what I do. When I do the Chiefs, I'm not down the middle, but I am when I do Valley Games. So I thought the most fair thing I can do to decide who gets the first question is to put on Sister Jean's scarf from Loyola. Sister Jean was the Spirit of the Valley Award winner this year. 97 years young, not here today, but I thought I've got to be neutral here, and Sister Jean, I'll put on the scarf. And we're going to flip a coin to see who gets the first question between these 2 coaches, because it's that close. And to flip the coin is the tournament manager, Jack R. Watkins. Heads is Marshall, tails is Muller. It is a heads. So the first guy I'll introduce, you'll get the first question, will be our 2 seed from the tournament, one of the most successful programs nationally since 2011. Please welcome Wichita State head coach Greg Marshall. And representing our 1 seed, he'll get the second question because of a coin flip twerk. You saw it. It was easily, and it was very, Larry Lyons, tell Larry. The 1 seed, and a guy who played in this league. He won a championship as a player in this league, and now he's brought his team to Arch Madness as a 1 seed. Our co-champions of the Valley. Give a cheer for Greg Marshall of Wichita State and Dan Muller of Illinois State. By virtue of the coin flip and Sister Jean, you get the first question. So, see how neutral I am? Okay. I want to ask you about your team because this was, okay, we sat here a year ago. We stood up here and Fred VanVleet and Ron Baker, 2 of the greatest players in Valley history, walked out of the door into the NBA. And people thought, now what? Numerically, you guys are better this year. What happened to this team?
Well, we have 13 scholarships, and we tried to use them on very talented players that are very hardworking, have commitment to the weight room and commitment to their academics, and a lot of them have just gotten better. People didn't realize Landry Shamet, when I said last year at the beginning of the year we weren't very good because Fred VanVleet was hurt and Connor Frankamp was ineligible, and I said we also have a third player who would really help us, but he just broke his foot. Well, nobody knew what I was talking about. They know now. And then, so we gave Landry the ball in January, and we just took off. And I should have been smart enough to do that to begin the year, but I just thought as a real freshman he needed to get his feet wet at the off guard for a while. Marcus McDuffie, Zach Brown, Rono Nerger, Shaq Morris, Rashard Kelly, they all just grew up during the course of the year, and they're really talented offensively, and we're trying to defend.
I'm going to ask you in a minute about your offensive prowess and your unselfishness. It is refreshing in college basketball. But, Dan, I want to ask you, first of all, about the Redbird Renaissance. You brought back a championship to the first time since you played. What does that mean to Illinois State University and your program?
Well, it means a lot. I didn't bring it back. Paris Lee and his buddies brought it back. But it's been a while. We were close the last couple of years. We thought we had very good teams. We had some injuries, and we had some dominant teams in our league. But it's special because of the group of guys we've done it with. It's special because of the administration. Obviously, it's been a long time. We know that, but it's all about the players. It really is.
Greg, your offensive team, that's the best shocker offensive team in a generation, and yet your defensive numbers didn't suffer. Sometimes high offensive numbers mean not good defensive numbers. You raised the offense and kept the defense where it is. What about your offensive prowess and your unselfishness?
Well, it goes back to the players, as Dan just mentioned. You've got guys that are sharing the basketball. We had 24 assists and 3 turnovers 2 games ago, and then the last game was 20 assists and 5 turnovers. So I had never seen an 8-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. And that's what these guys are doing. They're taking care of the basketball. They're not taking crazy chances, but they share it. There's really no one worries about who's the leading scorer. We're very well balanced. We can go 10, 11, maybe 12 deep, to be honest. And they just do a great job of being unselfish and caring about the final score.
Unique and refreshing. These 2 coaches, though, coach 2 of the top 5 defensive teams in the nation. In field goal percentage defense. It's something you both emphasized, but what happened to your team, Dan, defensively to have it evolve to be one of the nation's best?
Yeah, we didn't start the year off that way. We got healthy, number one. Tony Wills was coming off double hernia surgery and was on the all-defensive team. That helped us a lot. David Njai got healthy. But our guys committed. And I don't know if you look at our individual defenders and think that team has a chance to be great defensively, to be honest. We do have some guys that are really good, but I think it's more of a team thing with us. And again, I'll keep going back to the players whenever I'm asked anything, but the leadership that Paris and Tony, Deontay Hawkins have shown, the toughness that they practiced with, that's the only way you're good defensively. We don't have unbelievable length. We have good length. We have good speed. We're not real physical, but our guys really play together, and it kind of snowballed. They got pride in it, and it just every game they went out, they wanted to hold teams down. So it was refreshing to see and a great group to practice with.
And Greg, you've won 9 NCAA games in the last 4 years. Only 4 programs in America have won more. But how big a part of that is field goal percentage defense in winning games in this tournament and the next tournament that hopefully you both will be in?
Well, you have to get stops, and when it's great that our team can score over 80 as many times as they could this year, but I don't anticipate scoring 80 in this tournament. I think you win games in this tournament in the 60s and sometimes even in the 50s. So you have to go against very good half-court defenses, and you have to be able to get stops, and on the other end, you have to figure out a way to score in the half court. There's very little transition this time of year. When the better teams rise to the top, you're going to be playing half court basketball.
Yeah, very interesting. Kyle McIntosh, you missed him for a period there with the torn meniscus, but then he came back, frankly, quicker than I thought. What about McIntosh for this tournament?
He's healthier. He's not healthy, but he's healthier. He's only played 22 minutes a game the last 4 games. He missed 5 games. He's a huge key to our team. We know that. We're always going to be careful with him. He's got a long-term future to think about, and so we're going to be careful, but at the same time, play him as much as we can. He's played with great toughness. Been unbelievably proud of him. Again, he played 2 weeks after surgery, and he was healthy enough to do it. So we'll see. 3 games in 3 days, you never know. We haven't done that yet with him. We got a bunch of other guys that can step up, but hopefully he feels good if we play 3 games in 3 days.
Guys, thanks so much, and congratulations on fantastic years. And go get them in the tournament. Co-champions of the Valley. Greg Marshall, Wichita State. Dan Muller of Illinois State. And thanks to Sister Jean for the neutral scarf. Let's give our coaches a hand again, if you wouldn't mind. I've learned to appreciate these guys and what they do and how they do it. And it's some of the best in the country. It's hard to believe, but this is our 27th edition of Arch Madness in this awesome city, the 23rd time we'll have it at Scott Trade Center. There have been so many memories that have gone to the scrapbooks of our soul. Big winning shots, teams that have gone on magical runs, crowning champions, putting teams on that stage, and having celebrations. The State Farm Arch Madness Tournament in St. Louis is second only to the Big East Conference, and it's run at Madison Square Garden by a college conference tournament on a single neutral site. It has become, quite honestly, one of the best, if not the best. And that year in 2007, when there were 22,600 people here during all the sessions, was a watershed moment. But it also is an example of the incredible work that is done by people in the partnerships that we have in the Missouri Valley Conference. It's interesting what we do in-house in this league, whether it's the television program or putting on events, because this Valley staff has hosted Final Fours for the men and the women in this city. They put together 700 live events during an academic year. And so we appreciate all the folks on the Valley staff, and I'll mention them in a second here. But I do want to mention the partners in this league, that it could not be done without the folks that are sitting at this table. In its 10th year as a presenting sponsor of this luncheon is Explore St. Louis. And with us today is Kitty Ratcliffe, president of Explore St. Louis. Also in its 10th year, as a presenting sponsor of the Luncheon, is Scott Trade Center, home of Arch Madness. With us today is Chris Zimmerman, president and CEO for Scott Trade Center and the 31-win St. Louis Blues. Enterprise Bank and Trust Companies, in its second year as the title sponsor of one of our most valued awards, the Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. With us today is Stephen Albert, President, South Region for Enterprise Bank and Trust Company. A longtime partner is represented here with a longtime friend. In its second year as the title sponsor of Arch Madness, but years and years of working side by side with one of the greatest countries in the world, basically. State Farm Insurance continues its commitment to the Valley, and with us is a good friend, John Altoff, sponsorship coordinator at State Farm. St. Louis has been the perfect site for our tournament, of course. It's also been the perfect site as the headquarters for the league's television network, which we think is second to none in what we get done in this league. and a great home with Fox Sports Midwest. The presenting sponsor for Arch Madness, please welcome Marketing Director at Fox Sports Midwest, David Picorni. Now in his 25th year as a member of the conference office staff, and I will tell you, an incredible person and a great friend, and one of the nation's best at what he does, the Associate Commissioner and Arch Madness Tournament Manager, Jack R. Watkins. The Missouri Valley Conference in Learfield Sports, currently in the 7th year as partners. Representing Learfield Sports, please recognize Jim McIver. Aetna Companies in the 5th year as the presenting sponsor of our Valley Television Network. With us today is Brent Hunter, Market Head of Sales and Service at Aetna. In August 2016, the league signed a 4-year commitment with KTRS Radio, giving the station exclusive rights as the Arch Madness radio home. And many of you, of course, listen all throughout the next several days. With us today is Mark Dorsey, President and General Manager of KTRS Radio. I mentioned the Valley staff, lean and mean. And they work and bust it really 12 months out of the year to help all 10 programs in this conference. I've mentioned that they have specialized in putting on NCAA events in this city and other locale, as well as putting on Arch Madness. I would just like them, this Valley staff, if you wouldn't mind, give a big cheer and a round of applause to people that work way far and beyond what is required to make this league one of the best in the country. The Valley staff. And now in his 29th year as commissioner. Doug was a heck of a football player at Lafayette. And we have a great wrestling program in this league, although it's not a sponsored, in Northern Iowa is a nationally caliber wrestling program. There are times that I think Doug maybe wrestled at Lafayette instead of played football because of all the conversations he has to have and maybe a little cauliflower ear. But I do know this. I have seen Doug and been around Doug and heard Doug when he has been an advocate for all 6 coaches on this stage, for all 10 programs in this league. And he is a strong national conduit for this league. And he is respected from coast to coast as one of the top conference commissioners and impact people in all of college athletics. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Commissioner of the Valley, Jay Douglas, Doug Elgin.
Thank you, Mitch. That was a little bit unusual, but nevertheless appreciated. It is a privilege for me to be here again to welcome all of you to another State Farm Missouri Valley Conference Tournament weekend. Down through the years, Arch Madness has become one of the best and most recognized college tournaments in the country. And we're certainly proud of the tradition and history that surrounds this event and the tournament. We continue to thank the St. Louis Blues for permitting the Missouri Valley to have such a long, uninterrupted run in this city with this tournament. They clear the dates every year in March during the heart of the NHL schedule so that we can keep this tournament here. And we truly appreciate the cooperation that we've received through 26 years in St. Louis. Scottrade Center has provided a very big stage for our tournament down through the years. For the past 14 years, we've had more than 50,000 fans at each tournament. The MVC holds the all-time Scottrade Center basketball events record for attendance, drawing more than 22,600 fans to 2 sessions in 2007. And CBS will be in the house on Sunday televising our tournament for the 12th straight year. It's significant to note that CBS only does the finals of 5 other championships in the country, so that's certainly great to have the Missouri Valley on the network that carries the NCAA tournament. And without doubt, Arch Madness remains one of the strongest brands in college tournament basketball. I want to follow Mitch Holtis and certainly and thanking the dignitaries and corporate partners here in the dais and here in the audience. State Farm has been our men's basketball tournament title sponsor for many years, and it is a significant distinction that the Valley has such a strong partnership with this great company. John Altoff has always been a very strong advocate back in the home office for the Missouri Valley. The fact that he comes to our tournament every year does not go unnoticed, and he will be leaving here today to go to Chapel Hill, North Carolina for State Farm's game day activities at the Duke, North Carolina game. I can't imagine why he's doing that, but certainly we're very appreciative of all that he has done to strengthen the partnership. Special thanks to the good friends over at Fox Sports Midwest. That network has been the foundation of our exposure for the past 25 years, and we thank them for the continuing commitment to the Missouri Valley. And I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize the dedicated, hardworking Missouri Valley staff. They truly care about doing whatever they can to make this weekend the best experience for our basketball fans and teams. This will be somewhat redundant, but as we look ahead to this tournament this weekend, Wichita State and Illinois State come into the event as the top two seeds. These two teams battled to a dead heat after last Saturday's games. Both 17-1 on the year, great NCAA tournament resumes, and we completed certainly one of the best regular season races ever at the top of the standings. With Selection Sunday now only 10 days away, I believe these teams will come here and leave no doubt that they both deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. But as our 10 teams prepare to tip it off tonight, I don't think anybody can really count out the rest of the field. Arch Madness always delivers electricity and drama, and certainly a lot of surprises. So certainly thank you for coming. We're looking forward to what should be a great tournament weekend, and enjoy the madness.
Thank you, Doug. And now one of the highlights of this event, to me, is to highlight the achievements of our student athletes as it pertains to men's basketball for the 2016-17 Missouri Valley Conference year, and our all-conference squad, and also our specialty award winners. Again, remember a year ago at this time, we had some of the greatest to ever play in this league all graduate and walk out the door. In the case of Fred and Ron, go right to the NBA. But this group has been very representative of what this league is about: toughness, resilience, and performance. And it is with great honor that I get to announce to you who the award winners are. I will ask this of the award winners. Once I announce your name, would you please come to the stage and receive your award from Commissioner Elgin and Tournament Manager Jack R. Watkins. Our first recipient will receive the 2017 Enterprise Bank and Trust Valley Scholar Athlete of the Year Award. And this is a cherished award, and some of the greatest athletes, Olympic athletes, have been our best performers on and off the field and in the classroom. And this person is no exception. A 3.5 GPA in pharmacy, the fourth leading scorer in the Valley at 15 points per game. Ladies and gentlemen, a 6'1 junior guard from New Berlin, Wisconsin, Reed Timmer of Drake. Time to announce now our Freshman of the Year. A 6'4 guard, and Coach Marshall talked about him. And a history-making student athlete. He is only the second freshman in this league since 1953 to be both the Freshman of the Year, and he will also be announced on our first team all-conference selections. A 6'4 guard from Kansas City, Missouri, Landry Shaman of Wichita State. our newcomer of the year, a 6'9" junior forward, number 12 in the nation in rebounding, 11 rebounds per game. From Williamsport, Pennsylvania, Alize Johnson of the Missouri State Bears. Our sixth man of the year. We have some of the best bench production in the country. But our sixth man of the year is 6'5" junior forward from Kennedale, Texas, number 5 in the nation in field goal shooting percentage at 68%. Andre Jackson of the Loyola Ramblers. Our defensive player of the year. He is the nation's active leading steal maker of any player in Division I basketball. Nation's active leader in steals. He broke a 37-year-old Illinois State record this year. Defensive player of the year, 6-foot senior guard from Maywood, Illinois, Paris Lee of the Illinois State Redbirds. And now let's salute our first team all-conference squad. Coach Mosier talked about him having an impact throughout the entire campus. A 6'4" senior guard who's all over the stat sheet of the Missouri Valley Conference. From Chicago, Illinois, Milton Doyle of the Loyola Ramblers. Our second first-team selection, twice had 20 points and 20 rebounds in a single game, eclipsed only by Caleb Swanigan of Purdue. A 6'9" junior forward from Missouri State, Alize Johnson. Our next first-team selection was a leading scorer on one of the most unselfish teams in the country, but most of all, he has a penchant for making the right play at the right time. From Wichita State University, 6'8" sophomore, Patterson, New Jersey, Marcus McDuffie. In our next all-conference selection, I mentioned only the second freshman since 1953 to be named to the first-team all-conference first team. He shot 60% from three-point range in the last 12 games of the season. Landry Shamet of the Wichita State And our final first-team selection deserves a special mention because it is particularly heartwarming and encouraging and inspiring to see when a student athlete goes beyond the responsibility of him or herself on the campus. Anytime I drive in or fly in to Bloomington Normal and I see the sign for the Central Illinois Regional Airport, it takes me back to a horrible time coming back from the Final Four in 2015 when the Redbird 7 perished in that plane crash. Torrey Ward was a revered member of the Illinois State staff. This young man is not only our Larry Bird Player of the Year in the Valley, but he honors them by wearing Torrey's shoes and has for the last several years. I mentioned he is the nation's leader in steals among active players, but he's much more than that. He has left a huge footprint on his campus, and his heart goes far beyond basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, the Larry Bird Player of the Year for 2017, Paris Lee of the Illinois State Redbirds. As you watch this tournament, I think of the famous line from Shawshank Redemption. How many times do you really look at a man's shoes? Look at Paris's during the tournament, and you'll know the story. And let's have another round of applause for all of our specialty award winners and our first team All-Valley members. We made history, as I mentioned earlier, and it's time to honor now, for the first time in 110 years of this league, our conference co-champions had 17-1 identical records. The first co-championship in this league in 9 years. But it's time to honor both of these programs and both of these teams, and they both better be there on Selection Sunday, or I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go crazy because they both need to be in that tournament. But ladies and gentlemen, representing our co-champion Illinois State Redbirds, Paris Lee, representing our co-champion Wichita State Shockers, Marcus McDuffie and Landry Shaman. Hail to our champions of the Valley. Guys, if you could come up to get your trophies for your respective schools. I quoted Shawshank, now I'll quote the old Sesame Street. One of these things doesn't belong. Oh, no. He was a great running back at Lafayette. Now the reason we're all here, because it is the focus of this luncheon. And as we mentioned, it was a unique year in the Valley. And to select a Coach of the Year was going to be as narrow a margin as the race was, which was razor thin. This young man, what he did had national implications and has now for a while. His team was one of the national defensive leaders in the country. Dominant at home, and their on-campus arena undefeated at home. But what he did was restored the pride at a campus of which he played when he was also Defensive Player of the Year and part of two-time Valley Championships. And this year he led the Illinois State Redbirds to 25 wins, 17 conference championships, and the first Valley Championship since he played in the 97-98 season. Ladies and gentlemen, your Missouri Valley Conference Coach of the Year, Dan Muller of Illinois State.
very much. I want to start off by congratulating all the coaches in our league. We have great men and great coaches in our league. We're lucky to have them. A special congratulations to Wichita State for the unbelievable year that you guys had at this point. And a huge congratulations to all the players sitting out here. It's an honor to be out there. I know you appreciate it. And some very good young talent, obviously, out there. It is kind of crazy to think 20 years ago I was sitting out in those seats also as a player. Lots happened in 20 years. My forehead's a little bigger. Hell, 20 years ago, Barry was still trying to decide how much paprika to put in his barbecue sauce, I think. Special sauce. But a lot has changed, and except for Jack Watkins, he's still here. Same seat. But it's an honor. I want to thank a few people. I'll thank most people in person. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Melissa, President Dietz, Larry Dietz, my direct boss, Larry Lyons, all of our administration. But this award, it says Coach of the Year. It's about the players. I want to thank Paris Lee and his teammates for believing in me and my staff, for trusting us, for helping me become a better man and a better person, and just being so much fun to be around. The only bad part about this season, obviously, is the fact that Aaron Leach is supposed to be sitting over at that table right now. Torrey Ward's supposed to be at Sweetie Pie's right now eating with our team. And those 5 men are supposed to be getting ready for a special weekend. And so when you think about what our team's been through, the journey has been fun. But we know it's not fair, and that's okay. Life's not fair. It's not fair those men died in that plane crash. Not fair that those 13 kids lost their fathers. But it's not fair Paris Lee lost his dad when he was young. It's not fair that Sergey lost his dad last month, or Malik Yarbrough lost his dad in December. But it's not fair I'm standing up here either. So life's not fair, but I'm incredibly blessed. I'm honored to be up here, and I'm appreciative. And all I try to do is kind of what my mom and dad told me to do. Just do your best. I miss you guys. Sorry. If we're fortunate enough to keep playing on Sunday, it's going to be pretty simple. My wife and I will go to church, pray for those 7, those who have lost, those that are less fortunate than us, and then go try to do my best. So hopefully, when my players graduate, I hope they think I did them right. I hope they go on and are appreciative, treat people right, respect people, because I know it's a blessing to coach them. I got a great group of guys. It's been so much fun. So again, Sunday, if we're fortunate enough to play, try to do my best. Those 7 guys upstairs, put on their favorite red outfit, pour a drink, and hopefully have a great weekend, because we're going to try to win this thing on Paris. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, a couple of very important announcements here. The President's Council meeting will meet in the New York room in the main building at the Union Station Hotel. So it's a New York room in the main building at the Union Station Hotel. Don't go to the pesticide convention. And the ticket managers are going to meet in the Frisco room. They'll both start at 12:45, so that's in 15 minutes, but 2 very important meetings. And a very important time, because this is the one time everybody can kind of exhale after an incredibly competitive time, getting into, in just hours, competitive time. But those of you who are new to the league, you see why the league is special. When you see the players and coaches and administrators and sponsors that represent it, it is why it's a one-of-a-kind league and why it's America's Renaissance Conference. If you can't agree on how to get the basketball off your table, just do this. Sister Jean received the Spirit of the Valley this year, of course, at Loyola. She's 97 years young. 9 plus 7 is 16. If your birthday is closest to 16, you can take the ball, unless you guys want to agree on some other matter. Otherwise, we'll decide it on RPI, but that's going to take a while. So, thanks for coming today. Hail to our champions. Hail to our student athletes. Congratulations to Coach Muller. Enjoy the madness. Thank you.